Imagine a country where poverty drives women into prostitution, where polygamy is taxed to discourage the practice, and where cities are so overcrowded that walking down the street feels like navigating through chaos. Could you survive in one of the most polluted and densely populated places on Earth? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will leave you stunned. Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the extraordinary, the shocking, and the untold stories from around the globe. Today, we're diving into Bangladesh, a country often overlooked but filled with extreme contrasts. From social inequality to environmental crises, we'll uncover what life is really like in this unique nation. Get ready for a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure. Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. With over 1,200 people per square kilometer, life here is a daily struggle for space, resources, and survival. Let's take a closer look at Dhaka, the capital city. Imagine this, a city designed for 5 million people now holds more than 20 million inhabitants. Streets are clogged with traffic that barely moves. Public transport is bursting at the seams, and it's not uncommon for people to wait hours just to squeeze onto an overcrowded bus. Families often live in tiny, cramped spaces, with several generations sharing a single room. Privacy? That's a luxury few can afford. And for the millions living in slums, life is even more desperate. Can you imagine raising a family in conditions like these? But the chaos doesn't stop there. Overpopulation places immense pressure on the country's infrastructure. Hospitals and schools are overcrowded, and public services are stretched to their limits. It's a ticking time bomb with no easy solution. Have you ever felt trapped in a crowded room? Now imagine that's your entire life, every single day. When we talk about pollution, Bangladesh is often at the top of the list, and not in a good way. In Dhaka, the air is so polluted that breathing feels like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Factories, motor vehicles, and brick kilns pump out toxic fumes that blanket the city in smog. The air quality index often reads hazardous, not just unhealthy, but life-threatening. And the rivers? They're no better. The Baraganga River, once a vital lifeline for Dhaka, is now a toxic soup of chemicals and waste. Industries dump untreated sewage and chemicals directly into the water. For many, this is the only source of water for drinking, cooking, and bathing. The result? Widespread illnesses like cholera, dysentery, and skin infections. One fisherman shared his story. "We used to catch fish here. Now the river is dead. Our livelihood is gone, and we have no choice but to drink this water." His eyes tell the story of a community on the brink. Would you drink water so polluted that it's black and smells like chemicals? For millions in Bangladesh, there's no other option. In Bangladesh, the chasm between the rich and the poor is glaring, a reality that millions face daily. The contrast between wealth and poverty is so extreme that it's almost impossible to ignore. On one end, towering, luxurious skyscrapers shimmer in the sunlight, housing families who live lives of unimaginable comfort. They live in palatial homes, enjoy world-class healthcare, and send their children to elite private schools. On the other side, millions of people struggle to make ends meet, living in overcrowded slums, some of which have poor sanitation, limited access to clean water, and inadequate healthcare. The minimum wage in Bangladesh is a paltry $95 per month, which is barely enough to cover the basic needs of a family. Yet for many, it's the reality they must accept in order to survive. In cities like Dhaka, this wage is often not enough to pay for transportation, let alone food and housing. The cost of living is constantly rising, yet wages remain stagnant, forcing many workers to endure long hours in factories, particularly in the garment industry, one of the most crucial sectors of the country's economy. Workers in these industries face some of the most grueling conditions imaginable. They often work in overcrowded factories where safety regulations are minimal and accidents are frequent. The workers, predominantly women, are expected to meet unrealistically high quotas with little regard for their health or well-being. Meanwhile, the owners and CEOs of these factories live in luxury, enjoying amenities such as private jets, exclusive vacation homes, and lavish parties. The divide is especially striking in Dhaka, the capital city, where wealth and poverty exist side by side. Areas like Sonargaon epitomize the wealth of the elite, with sprawling villas, beautiful gardens, and well-maintained roads. Just a few kilometers away, however, lies the Korail slum, home to thousands of people who live in cramped, poorly constructed huts with little access to basic services. The people in Korail fight daily for survival, struggling to find enough food and clean water. The disparities are evident in nearly every aspect of life. Residents of Sonargaon can afford luxurious vacations abroad, while in Korail, families often have to skip meals just to pay rent. The wealth gap has become so pronounced that it has led to an erosion of social mobility, with many families feeling trapped in a cycle of poverty from which they see no escape. One resident of Korail summed up the struggle, saying, "We work hard every day, but it's never enough. They live in luxury while we struggle just to survive." This sentiment is echoed by millions who feel the deep injustice of a system that rewards the wealthy while leaving the poor to fend for themselves. What would you do if your daily wage was less than the cost of a coffee? In Bangladesh, this is the harsh reality for millions. As the wealthy few continue to thrive, the majority of the population is left fighting for scraps. In an unexpected move, the Bangladeshi government has introduced a tax on polygamy, attempting to limit the practice that has deep cultural roots in certain rural communities. In theory, this tax is meant to discourage men from taking multiple wives, but in practice, it has failed to make a significant impact. While polygamy is technically regulated, with men allowed to marry up to 4 wives, the law does little to address the complex societal norms that make polygamy an entrenched tradition in many parts of the country. The tax system is quite straightforward. For every additional wife a man marries, the tax increases. However, this financial penalty does little to deter those who view polygamy as a way to assert social status or maintain family power. In rural areas, where traditional customs are still deeply ingrained, men who have multiple wives are often respected and seen as symbols of wealth and influence. It's a deeply patriarchal system that keeps women in a state of subjugation. For the women involved in polygamous marriages, life is often a battle for attention, resources, and dignity. They must contend with not only the emotional toll of sharing their husband, but also the practical struggles that arise from limited resources. Food, money, and even affection are often scarce, with each wife competing for her husband's attention and the financial support he provides. In these households, jealousy, resentment, and tension are common, as the wives vie for the same things: food, money, and love. One woman, a mother of 3, shared her experience. "My husband has 3 other wives. We compete for everything: food, money, even his time. It's exhausting. But what choice do I have?" Her words reflect the harsh reality of life in polygamous relationships, where women's roles are often relegated to caretakers and childbearers, with little say in the decisions that affect their lives. In rural areas, polygamy is often a matter of survival, especially for women who may feel that having multiple wives will provide financial security in an environment where single women have limited opportunities. Yet, despite the challenges, some women continue to tolerate the practice, as they see no other way to secure their place in society. It's a difficult existence, where the value of women is often diminished in the face of overwhelming patriarchal traditions. While the government's polygamy tax might appear progressive, it has not been enough to dismantle the deeply embedded societal structures that perpetuate this practice. For many, polygamy is more than just a legal issue. It's a cultural norm that is deeply woven into the fabric of rural life. Could you imagine sharing your spouse with 3 others? For some women in Bangladesh, this is not just a nightmare, but a reality they've learned to endure, one that continues to shape their lives and families. Extreme poverty forces many Bangladeshi women into prostitution as a last resort. In a country where economic opportunities are scarce and unemployment is high, the decision to enter this profession is often driven by desperation. Places like Daulat Dia, one of the largest legal prostitution districts in the world, stand as a testament to the harsh realities many women face. In Daulat Dia, the women live in conditions of exploitation and constant danger, with few options for escape. Despite the legalization of prostitution in some parts of the country, these women are still seen as outcasts, and their lives are filled with humiliation and suffering. The stigma surrounding their profession is relentless. They are often treated as inferior by society, left to fend for themselves with little support from the government or social institutions. In the district, women are forced to live in overcrowded quarters with very little privacy or security. Many are exposed to physical abuse, violence, and sexual harassment, and they have no recourse for justice because the system is stacked against them. One woman from Daulat Dia shared her painful reality. We're invisible to society. People use us, but they look down on us. We're just trying to survive. This sentiment echoes the experiences of many women in the area who feel dehumanized by the system that forces them into this life. In Daulat Dia and similar areas, these women are trapped in a cycle of poverty, where survival becomes the primary goal. They face constant discrimination from society, who view them as moral outcasts, despite the fact that they are simply trying to provide for their families. In many cases, these women have no other way to earn an income. The lack of education, limited job opportunities, and the fear of being labeled as immoral or ruined keep them in this cycle. This grim reality highlights the deep social inequalities that exist in Bangladesh and the lack of resources for those at the very bottom of the economic ladder. What would you do if selling your body was the only way to feed your family? For many women in Bangladesh, this is not a question. They simply have no choice. In Bangladesh, cousin marriage is a common practice, often seen as a way to preserve family ties and protect wealth. This tradition is deeply rooted in the country's cultural and social fabric, where maintaining family connections is prioritized above all else. Families believe that marrying within the extended family helps keep wealth within the family unit, while also strengthening bonds that are seen as essential for social stability. However, this practice carries with it serious genetic risks, especially when marriages are between close relatives, such as first cousins. Studies have shown that these marriages significantly increase the likelihood of congenital diseases and genetic disorders, making children born from such unions more vulnerable to a range of health complications. Medical experts have pointed out that the children of cousin marriages are more likely to suffer from conditions like hemophilia, muscular dystrophy, and heart defects, which can lead to lifelong medical struggles. These genetic risks are well documented, yet the practice persists, as many families see it as a way to preserve their social standing and ensure continuity. Despite the warnings from health professionals, the desire to maintain family wealth and influence often outweighs concerns about the potential health risks to future generations. For many families, the belief that marrying within the family provides security and stability is so ingrained that the long-term health consequences are seen as secondary. The burden of genetic diseases places a heavy strain on families already grappling with poverty and limited resources. Families often face enormous emotional and financial challenges in trying to care for children born with serious health problems caused by genetic inheritance. Yet for many, the practice of cousin marriage continues to be viewed as culturally significant, and abandoning it would mean breaking with tradition, something that is unthinkable for many. While some advocates push for awareness and reform, others argue that changing this tradition would result in a loss of cultural identity. This dilemma leaves many in Bangladesh wondering, is preserving tradition worth the risk to future generations' health? Is preserving tradition worth risking the health of future generations? It's a question many in Bangladesh are grappling with as they weigh the consequences of cultural practices against the well-being of their children and future families. Bangladesh is a country of extremes, where resilience and hardship coexist in ways that are both heartbreaking and inspiring. From overpopulation and pollution to social inequality and cultural traditions, life here is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more eye-opening stories from around the world. And click on the video appearing on your screen now for another incredible journey. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.